Hi, it's Sean. Welcome to my channel EV Intuition, where I'm helping you understand about electric vehicles. Several weeks ago, I did a video about the Consumer Reports annual auto issue and how it fell short, in my opinion, in regards to electric vehicles. And at that time, and you can see this full video, I've got a link below in the notes, but in that video, I basically said there were three areas which I felt Consumer Reports was lacking in evaluating electric vehicles. Now, I wrote to Consumer Reports and they came back and they said, well, we've got most of that information, but it's not in the printed version. It's in the digital edition. So today I'm going to show you what they do include in that digital edition that will help you with looking into different electric vehicles and one that might fit your needs. So let's get started. Before I begin, I want to remind you, if you like the content of my channel, please subscribe and give me a like. Send me any comments you have also. Today we're talking about Consumer Reports Digital Edition because I previously talked about the print edition and how it was lacking in the EV area, especially when it involved charging, which I believe is one of the most important things that you got to look at because it is the distinguishing factor in electric vehicles versus gas vehicles. And so they needed more information in regards to charging. And they do have that in the digital edition. Maybe not all that I'd like, but I want to show you that. Well, let's start out with the three areas that I recommended in my previous video of what they were lacking. One was the maximum charging specs, and this included both AC charging and DC fast charging. I said that's one of the things you want to know in distinguished vehicles. The second thing, especially in DC fast charging, the maximum rate does not tell you the whole story because it doesn't stay at the maximum rate very long. So you really want to know the charge curve or the charge times. Typically in the industry, the de facto standard for measuring the performance of DC fast charging is a time from 10 to 80% state of charge. That's the thing I recommend at Consumer Reports add to it. And the last thing is evaluate their vehicle and app software in regards to navigating to fast chargers, especially because you need to know where to find them and you want to find some that are available and acceptable from a price and convenience point of view. Those are the three things I suggested. So now let's take a look at what Consumer Report does include in their digital edition. When you log into it and select cars, asks you for a make and model. For comparison or demonstration purposes today, I'm just going to do the Tesla Model Y 2025. Now I own the Tesla Model Y, so I'm familiar with it, and it really hasn't changed until actually the most recent update to the Model Y just came out, and this is not included in Consumer Reports evaluation of the 2025 Model Y. This is still the old edition. From a spec point of view, it's pretty close. The first thing you do is select your make, model of your vehicle and year of your vehicle that you want to look at. And it starts giving you information on it. And right across the top, it includes a menu of the different categories of information that they include, such as an overview, ratings and specs, road test reports, reliability, etc. The thing that I found useful, and all these have some useful information in, but for purposes of what I felt they were lacking in the print edition, I suggest that you select ratings and spec. And when you do that, you'll get another set of categories that appear in your web page. And the one that I think is most useful is the fuel economy and range. So if you select that fuel economy and range, the first top of that list will start showing you the vehicle efficiency, which I think is a very important thing to know. Efficiency varies quite a bit on cars. Now you got to pick cars that are similar in size if you're going to compare them to each other. Obviously you don't want to compare a pickup truck to a small sports car because obviously the small sports car by its weight and size is going to be much more efficient. When you're comparing vehicles, make sure you look at similar vehicles when looking at efficiency. And this gives you the efficiency information, which I think is useful information. It also gives you the range information, which is another good piece of information to have when comparing vehicles. Right at the top, very useful information. But as you go further down, another great thing that they have is, well, where is the vehicle's electric charging port? Now that might be useful because let's say you're planning to buy an electric vehicle and you want to install an electric vehicle charger in your home. You might want to know where that vehicle charging port is going to be so that wherever you install your charger, let's say in your garage, that it'll reach to that port location. That's a handy thing to know. Now, the next thing it does include is one of the areas that I recommended that they also include, and that's maximum charge rate. You can see that they had an AC maximum charge rate of 11.5 kilowatts. And that's good to have because that tells you where it has. It also has a rating of their AC charger, which really, I think if you're rating AC charging, all you're rating is how fast it goes. There's not much more to that. And 11.5 kilowatts is, I think, a good 4 out of 5 is a good rating for that because there are vehicles that charge faster than that, but 4 out of 5 is still pretty good. The other thing that they do on this is they also give a rating on the route planning in the EV app, which I think is really good. Now, they gave Tesla a rating for route planning as 4 out of 5. In their app as a 5 out of 5. I think both of these should be 5 out of 5. Their route planning, taking you to charging especially, is, in my opinion, the best in the industry. It takes you to chargers along your route that are not busy, and they do a great job at that, and they're state of art as far as my opinion goes on them. The thing they're lacking here is maybe an explanation of why they gave that particular rating. That's something to keep in mind, but I got to give them credit. They're doing what I suggested they do in the print edition, and that is give an evaluation, because that is an important piece of knowing your electric vehicle that you're going to get. How well does it do in this particular area? And if you continue to scroll down, it'll get into the maximum DC charge rate, which for the Tesla is 250 kilowatts, which I think is a good thing to know. Now, if you recall, one of the things that I also indicated is that you need to know more than just the maximum DC fast charging rate, because unlike AC charging rate, DC fast charging rate does not stay at that peak rate very long. That's what distinguishes cars. They actually have a charge curve that some fall off a lot quicker, meaning that rate goes down very quick. And so really what you want to know, and the key thing is, what is the time it takes to do DC fast charging? And one of the acceptable measures of that in the industry out there is a 10 to 80 state of charge time. So how long does it take to charge the vehicle from 10% state of charge to 80% state of charge? And unfortunately, Consumer Reports does not give a value on that. And I think they should adopt that standard and give that, because that would be a great apples to apple comparison for like vehicles to know that particular number in time. They do give a particular rating, and in this case they gave the DC fast charging for the Tesla a 5 out of 5, which I don't think it should get a 5 out of 5 for DC fast charge. There are fast vehicles that charge faster, especially in that 10 to 80% charge time than the Tesla. So I'd give them a 4 out of 5. Once again, I think they're off a little bit. I'm not sure why they chose that, and it would be helpful if they gave a little more explanation in their digital edition in regards to that particular rating. But hey, at least they got the maximum charge rate included in there. And the other thing I circled on this page was also that they include the plug type. And the reason why I indicate that, because we are now in a transition where many vehicles are transitioning from the old CCS standard to the North American Charging Standard, or the Tesla standard. And so it might be helpful to know what type of plug you have, because if you don't have a Tesla plug, you probably want to get an adapter for that so that you can use Tesla superchargers. So one other thing to keep in mind. But anyway, I think the Consumer Reports Digital Edition really is the edition of Consumer Reports that you want to have when looking at electric vehicles, because it gives you that additional pieces of information that I think are critical in your evaluation or comparison of different electric vehicles. So I'm even thinking when my print subscription runs out, that I'm going to go for the digital edition of that, and I can get more information on it. Now, I went to the consumer site, to obviously get this, and you can actually create an account for free, and they give you some limited information. They won't give you the information I've shown you in the car without upgrading your account. And basically, when you upgrade your account, they have this annual digital edition or a monthly edition that you can do, or they have an all access, which they'll give you the printed and the digital editions. And I think the price is not that steep for this type of information. And in my thinking, when my print subscription goes out, I'm going to go for the digital only. I'm comfortable with the information they have there, and they have a lot more information in the digital edition than they do in the printed edition. I'd highly recommend that if you were considering looking into different electric vehicles and trying to find a comparison between them. So I hope you found this update on the Consumer Reports useful, and good luck in your search and looking for electric vehicles. Take care. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.